Welcome back. After my disastrous performance in a rapid game last night against a real person, I'm going to go back to my quest of playing the lower rated bots. In this case, it is QTCinderella, rated 900. The bot is named after, it says, an incredibly famous streamer, world-class chef, and a friend of Pokimane. I assume those are also real people, so let's do it. Okay, let's choose that bot. Let's let the computer choose the colors. Okay, we got the black pieces. It says, I don't think you're ready to face a WGM. Well, that's true, assuming it means Woman Grandmaster. But I think 900 rated bot is probably not going to play like a Woman Grandmaster. Honestly, I don't know what to do against that, it says it's called the Birds opening. I think I've seen that like maybe twice in actual chess. Probably D5 is okay. All right. The Dutch variation. Well, can we go play C5 then too? And kind of play a reverse Queen's Gambit like this? I don't know. This is just very odd. Okay. That's a pretty imposing pawn structure there. Should I get this bishop out first before playing e6? I think so. And then I will play e6. I think, wait, is that going to go in there? You know what? If that goes in there, I'll just trade for it, and I won't care too much if that pawn's in the middle. Yeah, I'm going to play e6 now. Oh, I just realized that knight could have gone there. You know what? How about we make a hidey hole for my bishop and also prevent this knight from coming this way. That way, if I need to, I can go there. Okay, now I don't need to. I'm going to trade for their bishop and damage QTCinderella's pawn structure. She says, why must the pieces kill each other like this? Well, in my experience, it's not called killing, it's called capturing. So there's a big difference. All right. We've taken care of the light squared bishop problem. I can put this knight in here, and it will be relatively safe, but I don't know what it's doing in there. What would it be doing in there? I guess it could be going after this pawn. But then I would have relinquished my control over that square, which I think her knight wants to come into. And I'm not yet ready to play this because A, this pawn could block, but much more importantly is that knight is guarding the h4 square. But I will keep in mind, in case their knight does go there, that I can take it. Which reminds me, I should probably develop a bishop now. But where? I think d6 is a good place for this bishop. It helps to guard this diagonal a little bit and helps to protect that pawn. Okay, the king has castled. None of my pieces are immediately in danger right now. And I think now that I have the bishop guarding e5, maybe it's okay to put this knight out here aiming at that pawn. But that pawn is relatively easy to defend, either with, well, not a queen move there, but a queen move here, for example, or bringing this knight back, something like that. So maybe I should finish my development before I try that. This knight, should it come out here or out here? Either way, it blocks my queen's control of the h4 square. But it can always be moved. I think I want to put it here and then redirect it to f5 from where it will patrol down there. So that's what I'm going to try. And maybe castle. Not sure about that. Well, that keeps the queen from being able to defend that pawn. So I'm going to play my knight to here now. But then what if that pawn moves forward? If that pawn moves forward, I could just take it, but then that would give their knight that square. Maybe I'll just leave that alone. I'm going to go ahead and castle. Okay. I'm just keeping my eye on there because it's a knight. It's a safe, defended forward square for my knight. But maybe my knight doesn't need to be over on the queen side when the king is over here. Maybe that's something. Okay, I wanted to put this knight here, which I think is good. From there, it could be redirected to here where it could trade off for that knight because my queen is guarding that square, h4. So knight to f5. I guess they could, if they attacked that with g4, then I would go over there anyway. Same thing if they attacked it this way. Looks like a good square. Well, I'm pretty sure I said that was my destination anyway. And if they take, I will end up with my queen right here, and their dark squared bishop's nowhere to be found, so I think I'll be okay over there. So let's do that. All right. Well, I can trade for it there, but then that brings their queen up. But if I don't trade for it now, I think they can isolate my knight, maybe. Not sure. Let's do it. The chat up there said, "What's wrong with you? Leave my king alone." Kind of the point of chess is to attack and isolate and defeat the king. Other than a weird, offbeat, supposedly weak opening, I don't know that the bot has made any mistakes yet. But it's possible the bot has already made, 3 or 4 mistakes, and I made mistakes by not doing anything about it. Okay. From here, the queen is doing a pretty good job of defending those pawns, as well as probably preparing e4, because that would then be defended. E4 would be defended by 3 pieces, and I only have 1 there, so I think I would just have to immediately trade that off. But I'm defending this square twice, so maybe I should play d4 now. And then if the bot takes, I will put my knight there rather than over here like I was talking about earlier. d4 would be a much stronger square for my knight than b4, because b4 does nothing except focus on this weak pawn, which would then push itself forward in order to trade off probably. So I think I want to play d4 now. I mean, they could push past. But if so, then my d-pawn would be blockading both of those pawns, so maybe that's okay. But once that pawn pushes past, am I about to be steamrolled by these 3 pawns? That's a good question. And do I want my rook on the e-file in case we need to do something like this? Do I want my queen somewhere else, like here, or here, or here? You know what? I think I want my queen here. It's the last piece that hasn't developed, and it would connect the rooks, and it would point at this pawn in case they did play e4. Then I could pick off that pawn. So I think that might be best. But I don't know. Okay. That is a problem, I think. Not immediately, but possibly soon, because this knight can approach that square very quickly. So do I need to do this, or do I need to do this now? Takes. Yeah, I think I'm going to play d4 now, blocking that bishop. Okay, they didn't take. And now I've got 3 pawns coming here. If I take their e-pawn, they undouble their pawns, and then they'll have 5 in a row coming down. And now I think it would be bad to take the knight out of the picture, because then that would leave this pawn. Well, you know what, though? Oh, then that would protect that with the queen. But it would triple their pawns and block their own bishop. So maybe that's okay. And from there, if they don't move their e-pawn, from here I would be aiming at this front d-pawn, as well as that square down there. So maybe that's what I need to do right now. I don't know. Okay, well, that has given me this pawn, so I'm going to take it. And I'm challenging the bishop, which did not move. Can I do anything else from here? I think now that I'm a pawn up, I am just going to trade off for that bishop, and then I don't have to worry about that bishop pointing at my king anymore. And then I will have the only bishop remaining. Bishop versus knight. Let's do that. Okay. Do we have all our pawns left? Except the one of theirs that I just took? Wow. I have all my pawns left. That's unusual. I just realized. If they take, I can take back. I just realized that pawn is undefended, which makes me wonder if I shouldn't put this queen here. Oh no, that pawn is defended. Wow. Look around the board. Not sure. I have no idea what to do here. No idea at all. I'm considering A5 and then moving this rook over, and then B5, trying to break through over here. Or should I play A3 first? A6 first, and then B5, hoping to open that file this way for my rook. Let's do that. I wish I had a light squared bishop. I so right now wish I had a light squared bishop, because those pieces are on the same diagonal. I could put my queen here, but then I think that it wouldn't necessarily force the queen trade, but if they decided to trade queens, I would end up with doubled pawns here. But they wouldn't have to trade. They could just push that pawn. Question is, should I take this first and then go ahead with my plan, or should I go ahead with my plan first? Or should I put my rook over on d8 because this file is about to open up? I think that's what I should do. Now the bot is making really odd moves. I'm going to take this pawn, and then that will give, if they take back, assuming the bot takes back, then I will have placed my rook on the correct file. And if they don't take back, okay, they did. I was going to say, if they didn't take back there, I would count that as the first mistake that I definitely noticed was a mistake by the bot. Okay. Are there any undefended pawns or pieces in the white position? Yes, this pawn is undefended. There's a possibility I could exploit that. But how? I think all of my pieces are defended at least once. Yes, all of my pieces and pawns are defended at least once right now. However, I think my B pawn is the weakest, because if I need to move my queen at some point, suddenly that pawn is undefended. But they keep putting their queen and king on the same diagonal as if they're trying to bait me into this, but I don't think that's good for me. I'm going to get this pawn out of that diagonal by doing what I originally said. So if they take back, I'll take. Maybe I should have left that rook there and had this rook here. I don't know. And I also don't know how to get to that pawn. I thought that might happen. And now they've got two pieces on there. Okay. However, now both of these pawns are undefended. How in the world can I get there? And also this bishop can't move right now. Well, I guess I could come back here. Oh, that pawn's undefended. Why don't I move my bishop back here? And I maybe can pick that pawn off while I'm not in that much danger right now. See what they do. That's interesting. I think that pawn is fine where it is. I'm going to take this pawn for free. Okay. And now do we want to get the minor pieces off the board? Sorry, I wanted this video to be faster, but this bot has given me some trouble. Or should I hang on to my bishop? I also have just noticed that now this pawn is undefended. So my opponent has 3 undefended pawns that I would love to get to. What happens if I bring this bishop back here? That doesn't help. What if I just brought it back where it started and it goes back to helping with this pawn? Let me do that. What does that do? Is that aiming to come here, protected by the queen? Is that what that's about? Well, I think I'm up 2 pawns now. If the queen came down, I would just trade off for it, I think. Although that would... No, I'm defending that pawn now too. Yeah, I would just trade off for the queen if it came down here. If the rook came down here, I think then I could just go back over there, and then I would have control of that file. Not sure at all. I do know that these are 2 undefended pawns. That's an undefended pawn. I can hit those 2 on the 3rd rank right now by putting my rook right there. And then I can pull my other rook over behind it maybe. So that's what I'm going to do and see what happens. The king moved again. Okay. I could take either one of these pawns right now. But I like this, especially now that the king and queen are on the same rank. With this rook, both rooks on the d file, I would be threatening to win the queen on the next turn, or the queen for a rook. Pretty good exchange for me. So let's see what happens. Okay, they've given me... No, not necessarily. They can block with the knight. But I can take this pawn and then get my other rook up there. Does that... I'm not in danger of mate because I've already made this... I made that hole for my bishop earlier to bring the bishop back, but it will serve for my king as well. But the question, I guess, is could I end up losing a rook because it would be temporarily not protected. Well, wait, no, this one would still be down here blocking the check at that point. I think that's good. Then I can do this. I also notice that I can now get that pawn this way. But I'm going to go ahead and double my rooks on the 6th rank right now. Well, they're 3rd rank, but 6th rank from my perspective. Now they're just making random moves. They have undefended this pawn again, which I will take now. And then I will take here. I will give up both my rooks for a knight and a queen. They did not do anything about it. Okay. The bot says that I was rude for killing the queen. Okay. I do feel like I'm out of the woods right now. I felt a big load lift off when they made no move to defend their queen. I can check here, but I think I want to get this pawn first, because if I check and then they move here, then the pawn will be defended. So I'm going to take that pawn first. If they check me, as I said, I will move here. They did not check me, but they're attacking the bishop, which might as well go here now. I kept thinking they were going to check me back there and I would move. That's not mate, but it's getting close. Getting close because of this. Because my rook's not protected right now. Oh, what about this? Is that mate? No. The king would go back there, and then that would be mate, I think. Okay. 38 moves to beat QT Cinderella. Let's look at the game review and see if I made any mistakes. I just noticed the comment up there. It says, no way. You know what? This is Levy's fault. He's a bad coach. Let me try again. I don't think it's Levy's fault. Okay, according to the game review, I did make some mistakes in this game. At least one mistake and 7 inaccuracies. So that is not as well as I played against some of the other bots. And I'm going to guess that it had to do with that really odd opening. And I'm going to check here real quick. But one other thing I wanted to address was that somebody rated a lot higher than me told me to mainly analyze games that I lost. But I find at my level, it might have to do with my level or maybe just me, but I think I learned just as much from analyzing games that I won. Because very often I made mistakes or didn't win as quickly as I could. So I'm going to start the review. That was the end of the Birds opening. It says I've played this opening 5 times. I assume that means people have played it against me, because Birds opening isn't really something you play as black. It's something you face as black. But I don't know if that's how the terminology works. It is, I know I have seen it before. I don't know, about 5 times. It says I usually win, 80% win rate. Okay. That was a inaccuracy. It says it's not a mistake, but there is something better. Okay, was it this? Was it knight to f6? I'm just going to not waste anybody's time. No, wow. It was e5, it says. Really? e5 is best. Because wouldn't they just take it? I don't know, but I know I could take back, but then I've lost a center pawn, and white still has both their center pawns. I know the king is opened. That's I assume, the huge disadvantage of playing f4 as your first move. But it's not like I can immediately exploit that diagonal. The g-pawn is still there. I never would have guessed e5 is best there. I will try to remember that. It probably will be another 3 or 4 months before I see that opening again. Okay, a couple of those inaccuracies I saw, they went. That's weird that a couple of these, like castling, it listed as inaccurate for me, but it didn't stop on them. But it stopped for this inaccuracy. You are losing material this way. Where? What material am I losing? Whoops. Was it talking about this? I bet it was talking about that. Darn it. I just realized, yeah, if they take and I took back, I would have lost 2 pawns for 1. Okay. So what should I have done? I know I kept looking at that square for my knight, and it was probably pointless to do that the whole time. Was it that? No, it wasn't that. Yeah, it takes too long. on my machine. Maybe your machine is faster, but on mine, if I make the move that wasn't the one it thought was best, it just does these 3 dots for 30 or 40 seconds, seems like. Maybe less, but it seems like it's a long time. Oh, it says that's good. Not the best move. Okay, just click the hint button. Tell me what you thought was best. The rook. Oh, I should have done that earlier. Well, I did eventually see that. You activate your piece by moving it off its starting square. Okay, I did eventually see that, but then I doubted whether or not maybe I should have put that one over. I don't know. I also don't know that my rook was any more active here than it was over there, especially because at the time the pawns were still in place. Okay, that was a mistake. My only mistake of the game was playing b5 here. What should I have done instead? Should I have pulled this back now to take control of the file? Yes, that is what it says. Okay. Since I had my rook over there, it's just saying go ahead and take control of the open file. I don't know. Maybe they would have tried to contest it. But it says now I'm threatening to win material. Oh, because I didn't notice until later that that pawn was undefended. Actually, both those pawns are undefended. Yeah, I noticed that like a turn or two later. 2 turns later is when I noticed that. Okay, and I think that was all of my inaccuracies. But it was weird. I noticed that the computer stopped on a couple of my inaccuracies, but not all of them. And anyway, we beat the 900 rated QTCinderella-Bot, and we'll be moving on to the next one, which is, if you're curious, Pokimane, rated 1000 of Canada, next time. Thank you for watching.